This meeting is being recorded.
Guru
Yes.
Nation, thank you so much for watching, listening, however you're consuming. We got a special guest all the way from the United Kingdom, Olu Olufua. His link to his X, formerly known as Twitter, is underneath this video or in the show notes. Real_search. And then at research, but the E is a 3. Just click it. It's easier, I think, that way, guys and gals. But he's a bioinformatician, he's a nurse, microbiologist, a CRA, a consultant, an RN, helping aspiring medics and nurses transition into clinical and allied research roles. Olu, thank you so much for coming on.
It's no problem at all, Dan. It's real pleasure. It's a real pleasure.
Tell us maybe how you get started in research, and I mean, I know the background as a RN makes it a lot easier, but it's still not simple for people to do.
I'll tell you that. Just as a background, so I did my first degree in, bachelor's in microbiology back in Nigeria, which is my home country, and I went, I traveled out to Finland.
Ah,
It's
okay.
it's an odd place, but
Yeah.
that's where I went for my master's. And if anything at all, Finland is quite, known for their technology and all that, high-end sort of development. If you remember Nokia as the
Yeah.
headquarters of
Yeah. Yeah.
Nokia at the time, yeah. So I went there for bioinformatics, which is sort of molecular biology and all this. It's a synthesis of molecular biology and IT coding. So I had to learn, Python programming, statistics, and the rest. Um, but I wanted to go further into medicine, but due to the language barrier, I couldn't go into the medical school because it's taught in Finnish, and Finnish. If you look it up on the web, it's like one of the top 10 most difficult languages. So I
Do you know
so I,
any? Do you know any?
oh yeah. I mean, 5 years
Wow.
into my stay, then I
Just say
started
really
sort of.
quick for everyone from Finland, like, subscribe, comment, share in Finnish.
Oh, okay. Oh, let me see. Uh, no, kaikki suomalaiset um anteeksi vaan niin kuin, tykkää tämän videosta.
Yes, guys, that sounds incredibly difficult, honestly. I
I mean,
believe
I'm
you that
telling
it's a difficult language, and I
so I've not used the language since I came to the UK in 8 years. So this is pretty much
okay, got
probably the
you.
first time, the
Hey,
first
that's more
sentence
Finnish
I've
than
spoken.
most people can speak. So that's awesome, man.
No, I mean it's a very little beautiful country over there. After my master's degree, I then when the prospect of being medicine not working out, then I decided to go for nursing. It's called bachelor's in healthcare, and then people just sort of specialize further down towards the final year and all that. So I did finish with a degree in nursing, and I
Okay,
worked there for a couple of years as a nurse, and then I had to move to the UK. So coming
okay,
to the UK, I had a colleague, back from my days in university as a microbiology student. She was already in the UK. She came for a master's in the UK while I went to Finland. So she came into the UK earlier than myself and sort of got into clinical research from there. And she just sort of um, piqued my interest at the time to say, "Oh, now that you're new in the UK, you have a nursing degree, you really be a good fit to come into this field of clinical research." And so I tried. No, was back in 2016. And I applied, put the CV out. You know how it is. I go all through several recruitment agencies, but it's always that heartbreaking email of unfortunately or not successful. So I think in the zeal of trying to get a CRA role, I called up one of the recruiting agencies, and he sort of gave me, I'd say, the insight. And he was like, "Oh, if you since you have a nursing degree, you're new to the country, there will be a lot of hesitancy if you don't have like a UK experience. That what you could do is try to get a research role as a research nurse. And then further down
Mm.
the line, once you build your CV and experience in the sphere of research, then you could try and see if you could transition.
Oh
And
wow.
from there, I just got into nursing in the first instance, and I switched to a research nurse,
Hmm.
and then I just rose up the ranks from there into the lead of the trust of my hospital as a lead research nurse from there.
Oh wow.
Um, COVID hit, and just I think globally there was a like a widespread burnout in the whole healthcare system, and I just thought, okay, post COVID 2022, I thought, okay, I think might be a good time to go back and dust my CRA interest again and sort of take a break from frontline care, and then I just made a few application, and of course, the the feedback I got was more positive compared to 5 6 years ago. So from there, I just thought, okay, I found a mid-tech CRO, and I joined, and since then I've just sort of grown. Now I'm a CRA two, not a senior CRA, but
And where
it's baby
where
steps.
so what do you do in your day-to-day job right now as a CRA A2?
Oh, CRA two. So I pretty much cover most of it. I mean, depending on the project. So I do. I mean, now as a CRA two, in the last year, I've done, site evaluation visits. I've done, the usual SIVs, site monitoring visits, closeout visits across projects, oncology, respiratory, hematology, quite a few of those, both in adult and pediatric populations. And I've also been involved in site audits as well. I mean, I had three just in the last 8 months.
Oh wow.
Uh,
So you've
it's
done the site audits.
I I have been involved. So my site, so it's a
Okay.
sponsor-led audit
I see.
as
I see.
opposed to regulatory. So the good thing is it's sponsor-led, so it's sort of still in-house, sort of a self-regulatory
Right.
check within the sponsor. Yeah.
But they're still pretty intense. I mean, you just dealing
Oh
with
yeah.
these audits. Yeah. What kind of therapeutic areas do you guys do?
So we specialize in rare diseases.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yes. So what we do mostly, we look from idiopathic, pulmonary fibrosis
I'm getting one of
to.
those right now.
Oh,
One of
okay.
my pulmonologist was offered one, and I asked him if we can do it. He said, yeah, he has a few patients. So we
Oh,
might get
good.
like two or three in that IPF.
And that's quite high because for I've got 10 sites on that study, and some of them this target was one. That's how
Yeah,
rare
yeah,
these
yeah.
patients are. So
No, he
two or
has a
three,
few.
then
Yeah.
good.
He said he has a
Good.
few and we can do it. I'm not guaranteed they're all gonna join, but he has like two or three that we can screen.
Yeah, I think from the ones I did, the screen failure rate was around 27%.
Oh,
So I
okay, it's not
reckon,
that bad.
yeah, if he has three, most likely one
One.
or two, yeah, would
Yeah,
join in that case. Yeah.
that's good.
No,
We'll do that one.
yeah, so that's just me,
Awesome.
as a CRA currently, trying to work my way up in the industry. That's it.
Why is that IPF so popular right now? Or I guess it's maybe just the same sponsor doing both of our studies, maybe.
Um, I would, I think we'll probably have a different sponsor because
Does
we
the
are now
sponsor
close.
start with a B? Like a boy?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. I was even going to say that we are done screening and recruiting. So
Oh,
most likely
okay.
not the same
Yeah,
sponsor. We
not
we
the
we're out
same.
of the phase. We've hit our targets, and
Yeah.
we're just going into the gruelous stage of data cleaning and all that stuff.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, it's like an interesting coincidence. Yeah, how do you encourage people watching? Right now there's a lot of people watching, listening. Believe it or not, a lot from the UK, a lot, right? And there's a lot of Nigerian fam in the UK. No wahala to you guys.
I know, that's it. Um, so I think just a bit of a background how we sort of met. until we got
Yeah.
into this podcast. I was so the lady I was, chatting with on X. She actually owns a CRO. If you remember
Yeah,
how the
yeah, of
conversation
course.
started. So,
Yeah.
so I was pretty much just, and literally that's what I do mostly on X. I just sort of engage with
You're not on
anyone.
LinkedIn? You're not on LinkedIn or
I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
same
But you like
same.
X better? X is more fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's literally it's informal. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I
Much
have all this
better.
back end. Yeah, yeah. So and it's
Yeah.
less. There's not much you can. With LinkedIn, I probably prefer being on a desktop most times, but on X,
Yeah.
it's always like a
It's fun.
go-to
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
more fun. So, and usually, why I engage mostly is anything sort of research Twitter, which is now X. Anything, you know, job opportunities or anyone, because sometimes you find, I mean, these days you do find a lot of, again, burnt out healthcare staff or people that have just that are getting disgruntled. There is no passion for their current role, and they're looking for, where
A
do I go?
lot.
What do I do?
A
And then
lot.
so I just always latch on that zeal to say, hey, have you tried um, clinical research? And also, there's always this initial nah, confusion, I'd say, because there is nursing research and there is research nursing. So when I say, "Oh, are you interested in research nursing?" I say, "Oh, no, 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 no. It's it's all these theories, but what they are talking about is actually nursing research." So a lot of the times, I always get that initial block. Then I go further to say, "Hey, research nursing or clinical research nursing is not, we don't sit down cooking up theories and looking at improving practice and all this stuff that nursing research is about. That a clinical research nurse, basically, you can picture them working in outpatient units. They have a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and we see patients. So we're not just locked up somewhere, thinking of how to make the world a better place and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's usually the block and how I sort of go and sort of engage with them.
And do you recommend they get on X or on LinkedIn or just be on both?
I'd say both. So what I do initially is, when I'm trying to sort of bridge, or again, bridge the when I meet people and they're, trying to get them across, I tell them, see, the first thing you want to say is, if you go on those profiles on LinkedIn that say, hey, clinical research associate, on LinkedIn, it tells you a nice history of where they've been, where they're coming from. So
Yeah.
you see people in sports science, and then up there you see them clinical research associate. You see pharmacy, and then you just so I always tell them, say, go on LinkedIn, and just put your qualification and CRA, and you'll be surprised how people have just been able to transition from the farthest courses into CRA. So
Wow.
it's not always a, you have to be a nurse or a doctor or a pharmacist. That people, a lot of the CROs, if you see the applications, they're always a degree in life sciences.
Right.
And
Right.
I, I've been to Wikipedia and I saw life sciences is almost a two-page document list of almost any of this degree. So
Sure.
I think it's just applying yourself most of the time.
In the UK, it's different, slightly different than the US as far as maybe requirements or how it's not simple here in the US either to get a CRA job. But I feel like maybe there's more opportunity because there's more privatized industry, I think. What has been the experiences in UK? Like, you think it's difficult?
Mm, I'd say it could be. So one of the things I'm doing these days is, people. I mean, I would say from my experience, like I said, I tried it initially, and then 5 years after, then give it another shot again, because a lot of people don't know this, but if you're already in the as a nurse, I'll come from our approaches as a nurse. So a lot of the nurses that are already in like acute setting or medical setting or surgical and all this standard somatic sort of practice of nursing. Um, and if they want to switch or transition into clinical research or CRA, sometimes they need to tap into their existing network. So
Yeah.
you could see a nurse that's in, I mean, there are a lot of top UK hospitals, or top hospitals in the UK that are known even in Europe, like King's College London, all these big hospitals that are research heavy, heavily invested in research. They have a research team in almost every specialty. So I always tell them, say the first thing is look at the infrastructure of research you have in your trust. Look for the lead nurse or the trial manager, give them a call and say, hey, I work here already. I work as a nurse. I do 3 days a week shifts. I've got two spare days. I'm happy to, if you allow me, I'm happy to come down and shadow for 1 or 2 hours a week and all. And literally, you just sort of slide yourself into the system. I mean, before that, if you want to go, because in the UK we have this centralized sort of healthcare, and the NIHR is, which is the National Institute of Health, research in the UK.
Right.
They offer free, trainings. GCP is all online, informed consent, and all this stuff. So if you do sort of a forward loading, go online there, look around. It's easy. You register, you get access, do the training. At the very least,
Wow.
do a GCP training, informed consent training, and maybe if you do anything
Wow.
around data training. All those three are for free if you're in the NHS, and then
If you
look
need
up
those
your
links, message Olu on X or on LinkedIn.
definitely. Sure, I'm happy to help. So once you have those three already, call up your, the trial manager, the lead nurse in your trust, and tell them, hi, my name is, I work here. I'll be happy to sort of, um, I'm interested in research. And so there's this also, I'll say in the NHS, because the research team is like a department on its own, most often isolated somewhere away from the rest of, because they need the beds for the patients, and because they think the research team is more admin, they give them somewhere like an administrative location, so we are far from the wards. However, the research team always appreciate what they call them research links, like
Hmm.
st- like staff or nurses on the wards that are able to engage directly. So if they have a patient coming in, they'll say, "Oh, okay, oh, I have this patient on XYZ trial that has been admitted." So there'll be the eyes and ears of the research team on the wards. So if you call them up and say, "Hey, I would be, I'm very interested in research. I would like to be your research link on XYZ ward, 2, 3 wards if they are adjacent to you. If you need anything, in terms of taking vital signs, or you need to complete or give your participant or patient a questionnaire, let me know, hit me up. I'm happy to do that. I've done XYZ trainings. If I have any additional sort of training specific you want me to do, I'm happy to come on there, get on the delegation. So once it's just a simple phone call, you're not changing jobs, you're not, going
Hmm.
through the hassle of interview. You're getting the experience from
Yeah,
there.
it makes
By the
sense.
time you want, yes, by the
Do you
time you want to
think?
apply, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, sorry. I was gonna say, do you think like it's if someone just followed this blueprint that you just gave, that their success percentage is high, or what do you think?
Oh, oh, definitely. I've got messages in my on my ex, in my
Everybody get
DMs.
on X. I want everybody to get on X right now. Follow me, follow Olu.
So I usually sort of I've got almost the same strategy. What I do sometimes, it could be niche, depending on each person's sort of experience. If they are
Yeah.
nurses, their advice is a bit different from if they are lab scientists, if they are pharmacist. So I always give sort of a tailored approach, on how to make that transition. But what I'd say is, if you're already employed in any of these healthcare facilities or NHS trust in the UK that offer that, most of them do. It's almost a requirement, because if you don't have a research department, or your hospital is not research active, you won't
See?
attract consultants. you won't
Yeah.
attract talent to the hospital. So a lot of the trust always try to invest in their research, so a lot of the professors can come work for them.
That makes sense. I'm really glad I got you on because I get a lot of questions from the UK and I'm not that knowledgeable. Here in the US, I
Oh.
know how to get somebody a job, but what you just detailed and outlined, anybody can do, it seems like. Do you think this can translate all across Europe?
Um, so I'd say the reason why it works in the UK is because of that centralized healthcare infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Because the NHS literally, if they want to roll out a program, is just have a meeting with the heads of the regions and literally it just goes from top to bottom and that's it. And they can be sure every single, tertiary, secondary, primary care will get that. And I think that's what makes it work. So if they're pushing for, sometimes the NIHR could say, we've got a pool of funding, X amount of pounds, millions of pounds. We want people to bid for it to perhaps promote um, the inclusion of minorities into research. So they have this big pot and everybody can apply. So that's why the centralized approach works well. So in Europe, if any of those, European countries do have such structure, then I think it's easily replicable.
It sounds like it. And even in the US, I think those working in academia that are not in
Mm.
research can follow. I mean, the departments are obviously different, but the names, but the concepts, the structure is not new. There's nothing new under the sun.
Indeed, indeed. Uh, yep. I mean, so again, what I'd say is people, it's a long term. So if you want to transition, it's always having that long term thinking and not say, oh, this is tedious. I'd say you probably need, 6 months. I mean, people listening to this at the moment, if they do want to go, I mean, today's Thursday, but if they do want to go and make a leap, make a call tomorrow on Monday, they will get in by the end of the next week. They will have some feedback from the team,
That's
and
amazing.
from there, your CV just gets that added experience.
So do you think people
While
are just like sleeping, like not aware that research is a possibility, or are you happy
so
you do this and are not in just traditional healthcare but research, or do you sometimes wish you can do both, or like what do you think? Why do you think more people don't do it?
no, so I think the key thing I've identified is the knowledge gap. People aren't aware, and again, from where I started in the beginning, um, there is that misconception of nursing research and
Hmm.
research nursing. So, so a lot of the time when they see a job advert that
Mm.
says, "Oh, we need a research nurse," they don't even bother clicking it because all that comes to their head is
RN.
nursing research.
Yeah.
Yeah, RN that you want to go and be, cooking up theories and how to, all the old Nightingale and all this nursing,
Yeah.
people that they think about. But that's not what we do. So it's that's like two things: the existence of the role, and because there was a platform I joined, I think 2 weeks ago, and it was a 3-day forum whereby they were talking about job opportunities in nursing, and they listed pretty much, surgical nurse, mental nurse, cardiac nurse. Everything was like almost 3 days of different job roles, and I didn't see clinical research nurse in that. so, so
Wow.
and that's just how it is. Luckily, it was on. They were holding a space again on X, and I jumped on there, to contribute and make a submission. And initially, they were all I could get the feedback, and people were confusing it. So I realized that, oh, actually, this is not research nursing. This is not nursing research I'm talking about. This is clinical research. Is a whole. So I spent minutes just trying to explain what we do, and trying to connect what we do and with how new therapeutics go into the market.
Hmm.
So yes, I think that's knowledge gap and that misconception are the two big things. And it is a specialist area, to be honest. If you
Yeah.
don't know research, clinical research, you hardly get a job in a mid-level unless you're coming in from entry level. Then they take pretty much anyone. But even now, the competition is so high that people applying for entry level already had some form of this experience I've explained. Maybe they've worked on
Yeah.
one or two research while working on the wards, and that's how sort of they get the edge when they want to get jobs for clinical research nurse.
Now, Olu, as we wrap up, what are
Mm.
you looking forward to for yourself in your career? You know, you've already accomplished a lot. What do you think is next for you? Uh, and everybody go connect with him right now on X.
For me, CRA II, I think in terms of the pyramid or the food chain of clinical research, I think it's CRA II is just the beginnings. I mean, the second step. So what I'm thinking, I mean, where I see myself or what I'm aiming for is, first of all, I want to actually try and get my hands on any medical device study.
Ah, okay,
I've tried to. A lot of the ones I've worked on are usually therapeutics, MABs and tablets, drugs, and all that.
right.
As a nurse, I've tried to work on a device study, but it didn't go ahead because of just again the bureaucratic red tape. But as a CRA, that's my next thing I'm hoping for. Like I can get my hands on that. Then I think I probably might have a rounded um view or almost a rounded experience in terms of trying to get products from again concept stage to approval. And then career wise, again, it's just again try to move up to a senior management role. I'm more interested in clinical trial operations as opposed to line management of
I see.
looking after CRAs. I've as when I was a nurse, I did have such role, but I think from the little I've seen in CRA, as a
Yeah,
CRA, I think it's more exciting to be in
involved,
operations.
hands-on. But
Yes.
you will help anyone that reaches out. I've seen you on X, so
Oh,
everybody
sure.
go connect. I really
No problem.
appreciate it, Olu. We'll gotta do more. One of these days we'll go live and we'll go live as well with
Take questions.
the young lady who owns the CRO. Um
Yes.
Folasade, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Uh,
You did pronounce it properly. Great. The
oh,
S
good.
is now is SH. So
Folashade.
if you yes,
Ah,
100%.
okay, okay.
Should be
Is she
impressed.
Yarba or Igbo or Delta?
From the name, I'd say she's Yoruba from
Yeah,
Southwest Nigeria.
partiers,
Yes.
partiers. And you?
I'm from Southwest. My name is Olumide. So
Okay. Nice to
we,
meet
we,
you,
we do.
Olu.
You're welcome. You're welcome. A big opportunity and privilege to speak with you, Dan.
Likewise, we gotta go live. Uh, and we'll have maybe like a round table for EU and specifically UK. Because I think
Uh,
you're an expert in that realm.
well, I wouldn't sort of blow my horns, but I do have some knowledge at the site level. I do get involved in terms of site level approval, confirmation of capacity, and all those site level in-house approval approach. And as a CRA as well, I sort of dabble into regulatory, reviewing documents, just
Right.
and the timelines within the UK and all those bodies involved. Like I said, the ones I'm not familiar, I still have a knowledge gap, would be the medical device and perhaps maybe
Those are
tissue.
interesting. I'm starting to get
Yeah.
into some device studies myself too,
Oh, okay.
here
How
in
how?
Arizona. I don't think I could speak about it because it's really novel, but it's a
Yeah.
monitoring device for a particular drug, and
Oh, okay.
it's
Right.
like a CGM but for a drug, and
Okay.
we're gonna be one of the first sites. We actually will be the first site anywhere in the world to do it. And
Wow.
hopefully, yeah, it's interesting stuff. Like there's a lot in the device space. I mean, that's just like a tiny, drop in the device world that I happen to come across. But device is very interesting stuff too.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to getting that knowledge.
Well, we'll definitely network, and I'm glad I have another ex buddy. So thank you so much, Olu. I appreciate that. Everybody go follow him on X right now. I don't care if you don't have an X, get one. Get one. Make one. Not hard.
You're helping Elon Musk there.
There you go. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye bye.